I played Solstice a long time ago, around my friend Chris's house. We used to go around and, like, you know, as kids do, sleep over and whatever. And I think it was his dad. He collected a lot of games, played a lot of Zelda and stuff like that, and he had this game called Solstice. Picking this up again later, like years go by, and then recently I finally find this copy of Solstice. I think it was at the Doncaster Games Market, and literally it's became one of my favourite retro games ever since picking it up and replaying it again to completion.
I remember coming around here one night and Bren was playing Solstice, and I'd never heard of it before, and he just played it all the way through one go. It was kind of like a speed run, and next thing I knew, he really wanted to do a video based around it, and he wasn't entirely sure what form that would take, but all of a sudden there was this sort of first draft of a script that I read through, which was really, really funny and really cool, and I really liked the character of the wizard, as he was called at the time. In the first version of the script, Jollinor didn't have a name, and then when I came to do a bit of a rewrite, a bit of a run-through on it with Brendan, he was suddenly called Jollinor, and I asked him where the name came from. I thought it was from Solstice, which it wasn't. And apparently there is, if you Google it, there is a random wizard name generator online, and Bren hit the button, and the first name it spat out was Jollinor, and that's where it came from. Didn't even click it twice.
So long, Brent! Oh, fucking hat.
So yeah, the quest to put together the ultimate wizard costume basically started with Amazon. Now, you type in wizard costume into Amazon, you're gonna get a lot of like those cheap like Smithy costumes kind of thing. And we were kind of like, we wanted to go for something not crazy serious, but not ridiculously cheap looking either, even though both of which would have probably looked really funny. But obviously we had no budget, so trying to work within you know, our own pockets really was kind of the goal. So we basically just pieced together bits and pieces from the internet, and yeah, the costume that we got, it did come with a hat, but it looked crap. It was terrible. So we searched separately for wizard hat and found the one that you can see in the film.
Putting the costume together didn't take too long, actually. It's fairly simple. It was just like an all-in-one robe with an undergarment sort of stitched into it. We got the staff, which was really important, which is just I think it's a plastic Lord of the Rings toy with LEDs glue gunned onto it, so nice and simple. We got the hat, which wasn't the hat that came with the costume. We found a better hat, and then it was just all hair, which was it was hot to work in. Really warm.
So the other part of the big part of Jonathan's costume was the beard and the wig. Now the beard and the wig, I don't know if you've ever bought one of these costume wigs and beards and stuff, but they're made out of like nylon, and they are a nightmare to do anything with. So obviously we styled the wig by putting some plaits around the side so it wouldn't get into Dan's face, because there's a few, when we were doing the costume tests, it was getting in his face, it was really difficult, and we thought, you know what, he's just going to get really hot and frustrated with this. So we styled it, and basically after every shoot, when he took it off and on, we would comb it and keep it looking nice. We'd spray it with a bit of hairspray to keep it down. The beard was the same. The beard was a bit of a different challenge because we put some little magical bottles in the beard. You don't actually see them that much. I think there's a couple of shots where you get a glimpse of them. But these little bottles were like tied in with threads, and they mimic the potion bottles that you find in the game, which I thought was kind of a cool little Easter egg.
Go for it. So long, Brendan!
When we first came to decide the voice for Jollinor, I wasn't entirely sure whether we should go sort of more classical, like sort of Ian McKellen kind of Gandalf kind of voice, so I wasn't quite sure where to pitch it. But Bren kind of decided that maybe we should try and go for a bit of a West Country Doc Brown from Back to the Future, and as soon as he said that, the whole thing was sorted. I know I haven't got a great West Country accent, but I did my best, and I'm really pleased with how it came out. So a little bit eccentric maybe, a little bit gestury, toned down Doc from Back to the Future a little bit, but then that was it, that was our wizard. On the first day of the shoot, we thought we might get away with the dialogue that I was speaking through the beard, but it became clear really quite quickly that it wasn't going to be good enough because it was right over my mouth, like that. So I did the line, I tried to do the accent, but we decided quite early on in the shoot that we were going to re-record all the lines afterwards, which kind of just freed me up to just gesture. rather than worrying too much about the delivery. It was actually really good fun doing all the lines afterwards, because we did about 4 or 5 of each line and then just picked the best one. And because of the beard, it didn't have to be absolutely perfectly lip synced.
So this is, what should we call this?
Boom pole.
Yeah,
Boom pod.
It's got to have a name though. Barry.
Barry the Boom Pod.
Yeah.
Okay.
Barry the Boom Pod.
There you go.
It took a long time to film, mainly due to we were trying to basically spread it out. There's a lot of filming involved, and when you do an entire day's worth of filming for a scene, I like to anyway get all the footage into the computer and kind of like edit it as I was going along, kind of thing. So with that in mind, it took like 5-6 weeks maybe, including pickups. Currently, while I'm sat here filming this behind the scenes, I'm still editing it. So it's still kind of going on, but it did take a long time to initially get all the filming done.
If I had to pick a favourite shot, oh God, that's a tough question. And I've seen it so many times as well. I really like, just from filming it, I really like when I appeared on the balcony, because nothing to do with me, I could just hear Brendan laughing. Brendan was outside on the street, 3 stories low and across the road, and I was just sort of ducking in and out of the balcony. I could just hear him laughing. So yeah, that was good fun to make. It was also the last shot of me in the costume as well, and I'm not saying it was really uncomfortable to wear, but I knew once I got all that off at the end of that shot, we were done.
Don't be a prick!
Yeah, post-production took a very long time to do. We use a lot of different techniques with the color grade, and I wanted to get this magical look, and I wanted to use obviously a lot of colors that are incorporated in the game, like so the purples, the golds, like, and obviously a complementary color to purple is green, so there's a lot of greens in there as well. And yeah, I think I'm really happy with how it looked overall. So yeah. Also, the other hardest part of post-production, it was difficult because when we were on set, we shot in the daytime, but we blocked all of the light out through various methods. But my kitchen window didn't have a blind or a curtain. So Dan was like, don't worry, we'll just block it up with some cardboard. And I was like, no, that's a good idea. So we put some cardboard there, and that was great. It did its job. It blocked the light out. But unfortunately, that bit of cardboard made it into a lot of the shots. And I said, oh, don't worry, we'll fix it in post. Oh man. Every window you see in the film has been digitally replaced because it had a bit of cardboard there before. And that wouldn't have been a problem, but there was shots where Jolinor walked in front of it, so we had to mask around him frame by frame. And yeah, that was a bit of a taxing job. But if you noticed it, well done you. If you didn't notice it, then I did my job all right. So thanks.
So being in the costume was really cool. It really does help get into character, you know. I didn't like doing anything without the staff. I could have put the staff down after the intro, but no, I had to have the staff with me at all times. It really helped. But being in the room was kind of cool as well, because we darkened everything down. We blocked all the windows out. It was supposed to be night. We had this dry ice machine as well, which I thought really added a lot to the effects. That was done on the set. Most of the smoke was done on the set anyway. I actually think Brendan, he got a sore throat sort of halfway through filming, and I think it was because of the dry ice. We were using a lot of it, especially for like the entrance and the exit. We did some really good shots, and it was right just below where we were sitting, and just bathing smoke out quite fast. So yeah, it was a really cool room to be in. It was really hot in the wizard costume. I had a little hand fan that I had to hold about here for it to have any effect at all. I had also a great big glass of water with a straw in it, so I didn't ruin the beard or anything. But yeah, it was a cool set to be on. It was good fun.
My favourite part to film, there's a lot of favourite parts in the film, but I guess one of my favourite parts was filming with Matt Mcnamara, because we used to work with Matt Mcnamara back on another channel called Game Tank, and it's been a long time since the three of us have actually got together and filmed something, like just made something. And it was nice to just all get back together, even though it was only very quickly. It was for a very short part. It was just really nice to just get back together and have a laugh and make that little piece. So that was my favourite part to actually film. But my favourite part of the film, I guess, is the bit where we float the can and got to do some cool techniques for that.
Bren's done obviously most of the post-production work. He's the CG whiz. and the editor, done all the sound and everything. So from my point of view, it's been really good fun just coming in every couple of days and seeing how far it's got.
So the hardest shot to do in the film, I'd say, was the bit with the CGI can. There's a lot of production involved in doing anything with CG, and I started making that can weeks before we even began shooting Solstice because I knew it was going to be a big job. I literally had to cut a can around and stretch it out, flatten it and photograph it to get the texture to look the same. So we also photographed the inside of the room when all the lights were set up, so we could use that as an environment map around the can in the computer, so it would recreate the lighting in the computer to give it the real-time light and reflections that we'd get on set. So that way when we combined it, it looked like it belonged there, as best as we could. I mean, I still would class myself as an amateur CGI enthusiast, but I think I got it as close as I could. But anything like that with CGI, you get nothing for free, and it's really difficult to do. So I'd say overall that is the most taxing shot that there was.
You know what, we've spotted a couple of continuity errors, and I reckon there are some we haven't seen yet, but I think it's interesting to note that there are shots in this, cutting between me and Brent, and two shots and everything that were filmed weeks apart from each other. We even went back at the very end and got some shots from the beginning again that replaced bits that we'd filmed weeks before. And I think if I had to go through the video now and put the date on the bottom of each shot that we filmed it on, I couldn't tell you. We mixed it up a lot. So there might be one or two continuity errors, but I'm actually more proud of the fact that it's not glaring, that from shot to shot you're literally seeing a month go by backwards and forwards. So yeah, I think we've done okay.
There are loads of continuity errors if you look for them. I think mostly like people won't really notice them, but there are a few. The one that sticks out in my mind the most is we show a shot of the Tom Cruise photo vibrating and falling off the shelf, and then in the next shot it's back there. So as you can just see it just at the side. I was actually going to remove it, but then I thought, you know what? No, I can't. No. So yeah, there's loads.
It's always fun when you're making the props for these things to hide little things in them, and whether you'll see them or not, I do not know. But on the Power Beard magazine cover, there is a picture of Noel Edmonds. What a beard. And on the phone bill as well, if you look really close at the very top, before it just goes into repeat mode, there are things like QVC, Babe Station, Domino's Pizza, and I think there's a couple more as well. So yeah, have a look for those if you can, freeze it, and see if you can read them, and definitely look at the magazine cover as well, because I cannot remember what I put on it now, but they're pretty much all gags, so have a look.
So Carter's root beer, it's funny because basically over here in England, usually you can't get root beer anywhere. I mean, I know it's quite common in America, but over here, no, you can't get that. And for a long time, I was importing Big Daddy's root beer, which is from America, but it costs a lot of money to do that. So basically Asda started doing this Carter's root beer, and I forget the name of the company actually that makes it, but thank you. Send me a crate, please. Basically, it's just my favorite soft drink, and I like the fact that it was root beer. It was something different. It wasn't just a regular can of Coke. It just felt like it added a little bit more charm to the video, just having some sort of odd drink in there rather than the stereotypical soda drinks you'd get. So yeah, that's it really.
I think the last thing we did, actually, the last time I had to do the John and All voice was when he's talking about the game in the middle. We didn't do that on the set. That was all done afterwards, and we've tried this time to not pull you out of the film and go into a review kind of jarringly and then come back out to the second part of the film. We've tried to smooth it straight through the middle. So we weren't really thinking about that review segment until quite near the end of production, so that was the last thing we did. But yeah, post-production's been ace. I've just got to see it grow and grow and grow over the last few weeks, and it's nearly ready. It's not finished as I'm saying this, but it's very close.
What's next? What is next? Well, that's the question, isn't it? We don't know, really. I mean, we've covered obviously like 80s style action in Top Gun. We've done wizarding and magicalness. I suppose, I mean, I'd like to do a sci-fi, but also horror. I'd really like to do a horror. I've got an idea for horror too.
Oh, what's next? Well, gosh, these things take quite a long time to do, so we'll have a considered think about that. But I do know, just talking about the channel in general, that we want to try some new ideas, come up with some slightly different formats that we can add into our mix and keep the content fresh, try and find things that you guys really like watching. But next, I would imagine we're probably going to do something either sci-fi or horror at some point in the near future, but not next week. This was really hard.